All right, so we're now looking at 6.4, factoring a trinomial. And so that's really what this is representing. And so we're going to go right back to doing some boxes and practicing factoring. So first let's review factoring. First, see if there's anything you can take out of all the terms. Then if there's 2 or 3 terms, we're going to use the box or FOIL. Okay, so right now that's where we're at. And we're looking here. Is there anything we can take out of all 3? No. Again, how many terms do we have? 3. So we're going to start in the box. So x squared goes here, 15 goes here. I notice this is a subtraction. So that means that when I add these two together, I've got to get a negative 8. So I think about factors of 15. I notice that 3 times 5 is going to give me 8. But I need it to be negatives because 3 plus 5 would just be 8. Negative 3 and negative 5 would give me negative 8. And when I multiply, I get this. So I'm going to put negative 3 and negative 5. And here x and x. You'll notice again I'm using a pencil. You have problems here where you might end up needing to erase, and if you don't have a pencil then you're going to have issues. So here this column is an x, this row, and then this row. So this is negative 5x, negative 3x. If you add these two together, we get negative 18, and when we multiply them, we get a positive 15. So if I have to factor these, I've got x minus 5, x minus 3, and that is my answer. So again, I asked myself, is there anything I can take out of all 3 of these numbers? And I don't see anything. And there's 3 terms. Terms are separated by a plus or a minus. There's 3, so that means I need to do a box. So now I look for numbers that multiply together and give me 20, but when I add them together, I'm going to get negative 9. Well, I'm thinking negative 4 and negative 5 make it positive 20. And remember the x squared goes here, x times x, and let's see if it worked. This column is negative 5. This column is x. This row is x. And this row is negative 4. In this box, we have negative 5x, negative 4x in this box. And when I add these two together, I get negative 9x. So my answer is x minus 5, x minus 4. So again, I start by, is there anything I can take out of them all? These two have A's, but this one doesn't. These two have B's, but this one doesn't. There's nothing I can take out. So this one goes in the first box. This one goes in the last box. I'm going to start with the stuff I know easy, A times A, and the B squares are going to be B times B. So what multiplies together and gives me 6, but when I add it together, I get 5. And that should be pretty quick. I'm looking at 3 and 2. So let's check it out. 2b, and then a, and 3b. And if I look here, I get 2ab, and here I get 3ab. When I add them together, I get 5ab. So my answer is A, and it's a positive 2b, A, and positive 3b. All right, so now let's look at another one. We're looking at this one here. And again, the first number goes here. The last number goes here. I know the M, and I know the N. That's the easy part. Everything's positive, so everything's going to be positive in the problem. What multiplies together to give me 15, but adds together and gives me 8? And I think I'm going to use 3 and 5. So 5n, M, these are supposed to be M, these are the same, so 3N, and in this box I get 5MN, and here 3MN, and when I add them together I get 8MN. So M plus 5N and M plus 3N. So again, I look for what I can find in common in all of the numbers, and there's nothing. There's 3 terms, which means that I'm going to do the box. X squared here, negative 12 here. X squared is the easy one. Now I need to look at this because I want 2 numbers together that multiply together and give me negative 12, but when I add them together, I'm going to get 4. So I'm looking at 12, and I go, okay, well, let's try 2 times negative 6. Well, when I add 2 plus negative 6, I don't get the right answer, so that didn't work. What if I flip it, though? What if I do negative 2 times 6? That works for 12. Negative 2 plus 6, that works for there. So let's try that and see if it works. 6, and remember this column is right here. This row goes here, and this row goes here. And now we have in this box, sorry, let me do this part first, 6x, and in this box, negative 2x, and when I add these together, one's positive, one's negative, I subtract, I get 4x, goes right there, and so I'm on the right track. I'm looking at x minus 2, x plus 6. All right, looking at this problem, again, I have nothing I can take out of all 3, so I'm going to put x squared, negative 30y squared. X squared's the easy one. We know the y's have to be y and y, but we want to add up, or excuse me, we want it to multiply together and be negative 30, and when you add it together, you get negative 1. So you got to think about it. It's 2 numbers, and when you subtract them, you're going to get a 1. What 2 numbers multiply together like that? About 5 times 6. And let's see, we want a negative 1, so I'm going to make the 6 the negative 1. And let's see what happens here. 5 plus negative 6 works. So let's try it out. 5 and negative 6. Column, negative 6y. This column, x. This row, x. And this row, 5y. In this box, I get negative 6. And remember, we alphabetize xy. 5xy. And when I add these 2 together, I definitely get a negative 1. So my answer is x plus 5y, x minus 6y.